Welcome everyone to Unscripted Coding. Today we are going to look at and actually use Project IDX. This is a development environment that's all on the cloud, runs in your browser, and created by Google. Now that should set alarm bells. This is not the first time they've done something like this, but the reason why we're looking at Project IDX is because of their one killer feature. This is coding faster with generative AI. You see, Project IDX is going to look very much like Visual Studio Code posted up on a web browser. It's going to run in the cloud, allow you to download extensions, use a virtual machine to run all of this for you. This shouldn't sound like anything new. Code spaces from GitHub, you have other things like Cloud9 that all have these kind of features. The big one with Project IDX is that it is paired with AI. And what I've seen very quickly is that there is a chatbot built right in on the side, but more importantly, you're able to kind of interact and integrate with the current file you're looking at. So when you hover over some text, when you click it, when you right-click it, you can interact. You don't need to copy and paste. So currently, how I use Visual Studio Code is I might have ChatGPT on the side. I have to use Control-C, Control-V a lot. And I gotta remind ChatGPT that I'm a programmer, what the language of the code I'm doing is, all of those things. And in theory, Project IDX should be a little better integrated. Now, I should mention that this is in public preview right now, so I was looking at this page, this front page right here, just yesterday, and it didn't look anything like this. So I can see that they're putting work in to make it look nicer, to advertise and market Project IDX. And so I suspect things are going to continue to change and hopefully improve over time. You do need to join a waitlist to actually get access to Project IDX, but I don't think it's too hard to get into anymore. Okay, so when you open Project IDX for the first time and you click, enter into the dashboard, you're going to see a couple different things. First of all, you can start with a blank workspace and import a repo. That means that basically any language, at least any major popular language, is going to be supported to a certain degree. You're going to have a chatbot, it's going to recognize I don't know how many dozens of languages. But Project IDX does have a specific focus. First of all, web apps. I think these ones are fairly simple. They have Angular, Vue, React, and you can run it'll preview your web app on the side. I think that's fairly simple. You're already on a web browser, so it doesn't take Project IDX a whole lot of lift to prepare it on the side. But they also allow you to use Flutter, which is a Dart-based framework that helps you create apps. So if you click into here, I'm surprised, you can potentially see an Android emulator or an iOS simulator on the side. Again, ran on the cloud through a virtual environment that's off your computer, and that is incredibly helpful. Now, we're going to be using a web app for this demo really quickly, just because it's simple and I wanted to see how Project IDX looks like and how it works first. But I think the value is going to be Flutter as well, because you have your AI side, but you also have the simulator and emulators that are not on your computer that you don't need a physical phone for, and that just makes development so much easier. And then, of course, there's a promise of other things coming soon. Okay, so when you create one of these, it takes a few minutes to actually create your workspace. And what I did was a new web app, HTML, right here. And what I got was this. Very, very basic And what I think we're going to do is just zoom out a tiny bit here. It's going to be pretty hard because I am already limited in my aspect ratio for this video, but we're also running, well, 2 columns mostly. So larger text, bit difficult. I think, let's see if this will work. Alt-Z. Good. So we can wrap our text right here. Okay. So of course, as we change, we're going to see, over here, we're going to see these changes on the side. I do need to refresh as I go. But I think what's going to be really cool is if we highlight a certain section. Let's just look at the head here, and we right-click, you'll see IDX AI. There's 3 options for you right here. Explain selected code. Let's try that real quick. Okay, first of all, I do like suggestions as I type, similar to Copilot, GitHub Copilot. We're going to click continue, blah, 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 privacy. Okay, so I asked it to explain this code. And again, we didn't have to copy and paste, but we could over here. IDX is not enabled for your region. Stay tuned. Just give me one moment here. So I had to switch over to a US VPN just to take a look. So unfortunately, apparently it's not available in Canada. Actually, in retrospect, not surprising, we don't have access to Google Bard either. Anyways, so you can see this is very familiar chatbot type of interface. You have something where you can type your comments and ask more questions, and then they had a couple of prompts already available. So explain the following what the following code does, and we just selected the head here. I'm going to ask, can you expand this head to include a variety of options that are SEO friendly? What I suspect should show up is like description, keyword, author, things like that, where you can build out more options. Okay, and what we're going to do is we can copy it. We can copy it classic, but we can also insert right into our text here. So we have description, keywords. I'm going to ask it, can you expand on that even further with social media tags, for example? And I'm thinking Facebook, Twitter kind of properties. Exactly. So just like that, I'm going to insert it in, and this is fantastic right here. Alt-Z just to have the word wrap here. Okay. So next bit, I'm going to ask it. Can you use CDNs to import jQuery, let's say the latest versions of jQuery and Bootstrap? Oops. Okay. So it put it into the bottom of the body. I would not put it. I see. I don't think it's being very smart here. Take a look. So the head closes over here, and then they added more text. So something is wonky here, but I am going to grab these two. and put it at the bottom. So AI can't write everything for me just yet, but I think what it was doing was adding this code just where my cursor was. So when I moved down here, I was thinking of asking something else, and then I went back up, it pasted below. But let's keep going here, and I'm going to say, can you put in a fixed header, blue header, at the top of this page using Bootstrap? The header includes a logo, so I wonder, I don't see the code. There we go. Okay, so I am going to ask it to insert right here. We'll save and see how this looks. I wonder why that is. Header. Oh. Your tags have not been closed. So looking at this, the header and the div hasn't closed yet. So I wonder why that is. No. Div. Something is wrong here. You can see that this breaks. Ah, the image tag was never closed. So let's... There we go. I think that fixes it up. I still have something. So the logo's here. I don't know what this is. Aha. Here's the extra piece right there. And then we go. We have a fixed header. And I think maybe it should fall outside. Nope. Okay. So we should probably, actually, I think we're just not doing this properly here. Because, so what's bugging me right now is this hello world is overlapping with the header, but I'm going to ignore that for now. The other thing I wanted to test quickly is over here, IDX AI, and say add comments for the selected code. May not be useful HTML, but I think it would be very useful in adding comments as I write, say, Python code with an algorithm. But this is really good here. This is a container, this is a header. You know, it kind of explains step by step. It might be too verbose. Can this be less verbose? And then what comments should be. Let's see if we can dial it down. Okay. that's much more readable. What I'm going to do is just ask it to input a table, and I think we have a good sense of what Project IDX can do. Can you create a table with Bootstrap that lists days of the calendar and whether there is a federal holiday. Alright, that would not be what I expected if I was asked to do the same thing. I would think putting the correct days would be right, like a calendar all the way down, not just days of the week. But where I wanted to follow up with this is, can you write JavaScript code that changes the Friday to a yes? I think that looks roughly right to me. We're finding the table, we're going with the 6th child of it, and then we're going to change text to yes. So this seems to be functional, and then it's swapped to a yes. Can you create a button that will trigger this code instead of just running it? Okay, so I asked it to change it, to create a button that we can click, and then I adjusted the script above so that it is a function instead of just code that runs at the start. And when we refresh, you have, no, and then change federal holiday, now Friday is a yes. I think we've seen kind of the basics of it. It's a nice all-in-one package. Just from my first initial thoughts here, it runs like Visual Studio Code. I imagine Visual Studio Code commands just all work the same. We can pull extensions, so if I go prettify prettier, I can just install. We see this kind of drab coloring. Let's wait for it to install. And I was expecting some more changes, but you can see that the extension is installed. And then we have source code. We can connect to GitHub. All of that looks very familiar and shouldn't faze anyone. Where I think it's going to be fairly novel that we haven't looked at is going to be the ability to get emulators and simulators. So we haven't seen that. I might play with it later. The other one is having IDX AI. This button is pretty useful. It just isn't done very well yet. You can see that the tags just didn't close properly. It was trying to insert it in different places just because my cursor was moving. The integration isn't even close to as good as I thought. And here I was hoping, the AI is so close that it will automatically notice what's on this and be smarter about it. But for now, all I see really is just ChatGPT on a tab, albeit all within the same literal browser tab, but a tab within your web page. It really isn't doing all that much. Yes, it was nice to just left click this, but realistically, Control C, Control V on another tab, not all that different. I guess the bonus here is, at least right now in public preview, Project IDX is all free. So you are getting code spaces free. You're getting Copilot free because there is this auto fill. So you're getting code spaces, you're getting Copilot free, and you are also getting a chatbot built in. I have no clue why it restarted there, so that's not a great sign either. All in all, I could see myself using this, to be perfectly honest. And this might even be something that I put on the Quest VR headset. I have long been a big believer that I shouldn't need to carry my giant, desktop computer everywhere. Getting rid of the emulator and simulator is going to be huge. This thing could potentially run on a Raspberry Pi just fine, just because your everything is handled on a virtual machine somewhere else. So I see a lot of benefits. For me personally, I have a good setup. I sit here. This background doesn't really change. So not necessarily a huge bonus, but now that I think about it, this might be a cool one to test on VR, see if it is worthwhile to put on a VR headset. No matter how I look at it, I don't think it's quite right yet, but I don't want to quash it because I like where the idea is going. Oh, I forgot to mention one last thing. I know that Project IDX, one of the other features that has been mentioned is that it's very tightly integrated with Firebase too. I don't use Firebase all that much, so that doesn't add a lot. But if you do, supposedly it's very easy to create a Firebase project, integrate it together, and Google is trying to package all of this up together so you use all of their services together. All right, enough rambling. I think you get the gist. It's kind of meh. I like the idea, but execution still isn't there. But it is a public preview. It's a preview. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and check it out again in the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week.